Hey guys, so I'm trying to see how you can make a skateboarding game fun. Damn, okay.
Skateboarding. Either you're really good at it or that. Just like the first episode, skateboarding is one of the things that screams the 90s, and I think you know what the story is of Pro Skater from that video anyways, so let's just jump into it. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater came out 25 years ago, good lord, or 24 if you have an N64 or Dreamcast. So I'm just gonna play every Pro Skater because why not? Starting off with the original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, or skateboarding if you're from PAL regions. So we start the game, and we get an FMV intro that features all the skaters that are featured in this game. But on the N64 version, since it's on a cartridge, the intro is just the computers doing the tricks. Okay then, after that sequence, we get to the main menu, and this music is funky, that's for sure. The main characters we have here are Tony Hawk, Bob Burnquist, Jeff Rowley, Bucky Lasik, Chad Muska, Kareem Campbell, Andrew Reynolds, Groom Glifberg, Jamie Thomas, and Alyssa Steamer. But the secret characters are Officer Dick and Private Carrera. I'll just use Tony Hawk because I'm a basic bitch. We park our board, and let's get to our first level, the warehouse. This is the definition of what Pro Skater is about. Although basic as hell, it is the first level in the entire franchise, so cut it some slack, man. The levels in this game are Warehouse, School 1, Mall, Chicago Skate Park, Downtown Minneapolis, Downhill Jam, which itself got its own game 7 years later, Burnside, San Francisco, and Roswell. Basically the point of this game is that you have to do a high-end pro score, hit 5 things of a certain object, get the skate letters, and of course, the secret tape, in a 2-minute time limit, which is possible in Warehouse, but not in the other levels. Every 3 levels or so are competitions, which means you have to get a high score in a 1-minute time limit, but they are so goddamn difficult. Like, you wanted to get the gold so bad, but then after 30 minutes, after bailing 75,000 times, you just said fuck it, and either get a silver or bronze. Not only that, if you bail a lot, you're definitely gonna hate this game, because it takes 17 centuries for you to get up, and you mostly be pissed off that you have to always restart every time. Roswell gets the worst of it, which I understand it's the last level, but still. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this game, other than that since I started the series with Brigade, yes, I'm that young, playing the original games without any manuals, reverts, or multi-button tricks when grinding/manualing just feels weird. Speaking of grinding, the only way to combo right is to either grind a bunch of times or hold the grab button and flip in the same combo, if you can even land it. But the only way to balance is that since you don't have the balance meter to know if you bail or not, you only have to know from your skater's arms, and that could be confusing to some people, but I think that's kind of better a little bit. Anyways, this is a pretty large game for the time. No wonder why the N64 can't handle that shit. So overall, the first Pro Skater is good, but not worth going back to, unless it's for nostalgia, or you just want to say, eh, when you look at your game collection, if you even have any of the Pro Skater games in your collection anyways. A year later, in 2000, we have Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2, one of the highest rated games on Metacritic, but is it one of the best games of all time? Let's take a look. We start the game with the best Neversoft logo of all time and the usual intro, yada yada yada, but it does have Rage Against the Machine though, so nice, I guess. The menu and menu music looks and sounds way better than the last game. We actually have shit to explore instead of just the career mode and free skate. We have Create a Skater and Create a Park, but we'll get to that later. The characters here are the same, but we are introduced with Steve Caballero and Rodney Mullen to the mix. But if you decided to 100% with a Created Skater, you get Spider-Man.
You could tell why I'm excited about that.
Although Neversoft was making Spider-Man 2000 at the time, it still feels funny for Spidey to go on a skateboard, even though they made it canon 12 years later. Alright, let's create a skater. Yep, that definitely looks like me. Now let's get to our first level of the sequel, the hangar. While not as good as the warehouse, it's still a better level because there's more stuff to do. Instead of 5 objectives, they basically doubled in objectives. And let's just get this out of the way. We can finally do combos with the manual, so I don't have to find a random rail to grind or actually get some score every time. But you still don't have a balance meter, but the manual has a balance meter, which is confusing as hell. Instead of collecting tapes to make your stats better, money is now in the picture, by which you can buy stats, boards, tricks, and others. This game, quote-unquote, introduced special tricks. While it was in the first game, it felt like 7 years for the sound to appear. Another thing that was improved was the bail times, where you could just spam buttons for you to get up. The levels we have here are the Hangar, School 2, Marseille, New York City, Venice, Skate Street, Philadelphia, and the Bull Ring. But if you want to hate yourself in 100% the game with every skater, you get both Chopper Drop and Skater Heaven. And you may be saying, how did you get those levels? 2 words, cheat codes. Cheat codes are probably the best thing about this game, where you can basically fly so high, have moon gravity, or double moon gravity if you're crazy enough, and an infinite grind and special meter. Something's missing. Oh yeah, create a park. I can't really make good levels, so I call this Pathetic Park, and it clearly shows that I don't have an imagination. And who could forget the Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX demo? It's terrible, but I'll be back to review the other games that were in the Activision O2 brand. At the end of the day, Thups 2 is good, but not one of the best games of all time. Metacritic, you are a crazy bitch, I tell you that. Another year later, the original Xbox was gonna have Thups 3 as the launch title, but it wasn't finished yet, so Treyarch decided to say, fuck you, here's a remake of the first 2 games. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2X was born, and apparently, this piece of shit doesn't want to capture it, so I'ma borrow footage from other YouTubers. Here we have is Thups 2X, exclusively for the original Xbox. It's basically the same game, but with extra levels. But it's also the first game in the series to have online play, and sometimes it's still up to this day, 23 years later. The extra levels are the Club, Construction Zone, Tampa Skate Park, which is featured in another game, the Subway, and City Skylines, which I like to call it fuck off. There's pretty much nothing here much to say, so let's just move on to the actual next-gen Pro Skater title. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, the first real next-gen Pro Skater that became one of the best-selling games of all time, and a lot of people are saying that 3 is the best in the series, so let's see if it's actually the best one in the series. So we start the game, and the singer in the intro sounds like he got something in his throat. There's nothing new in the menu, except for a tutorial narrated by Tony Hawk if you're new to the series. And I don't know why, but the PS2 version specifically has a lower pitch on everything for some reason, like the special trick sound, for instance. The new characters are Banjo from Jackass, Darth Maul, Wolverine, Ollie the Magic Bum from the last game, Kelly Slater, some demon chick, and the Neversoft Eyeball from the intro to this game. Anyways, let's create a skater.
Oh look, another me! Oh, my shirt changed.
I love how I made my pants and socks look like Glep. Alright, let's get to the foundry, which is at best, even though it's the first level. We finally got the revert, where we can string tricks together without losing our combo, unlike the last 2 games. The revert is cool and all, but having the special trick while manualing is way better, and most people don't know about this, but you can actually do multi-button tricks in this game. Ha! Take that, Pro Skater 4. Even though they were in the first 2 games, and it's half the appeal of those games anyways, there's videos you could watch after you finish the career with a specific skater. Unless if you're a creative skater, then you get a bail montage. The best thing about those videos are the Neversoft related ones, where they made a kickflip contest and musical chairs to win a PS2. This must be a fun workplace to work at when you're trying to pump out a quality game each year, but then you want to have some fun every once in a while with your game making buddies. Okay, I got sidetracked by videos. Let's get into the actual game. The levels are Foundry, Canada, Rio, Suburbia, Airport, Skater Island, Los Angeles, Tokyo, and the cruise ship. But you also get Warehouse, Burnside, and Roswell from the first game if you finish the career multiple times, which I obviously did do, and enter the cheat code instead, because I'm lazy as fuck. The Xbox version exclusively has the oil rig, which is interesting, but not a good Tony Hawk level. Those levels are pretty interesting, because there's actual lore in those missions, instead of, do thing, you did it. There's earthquakes, car chases, property damage, burying bullies, and more. The creative park is actually pretty good, but I still can't make a good park, so I call this, park. There's another Activision 02 demo for Sean Palmer's Pro Snowboarder, but it's so goddamn flickery and glitchy and jittery that either my modded PS3 or capture card did not like at all. Thanks, game that came out the week before Amped. But that's just the PS2 version. The PS1 version is still here, so we can keep going. Here we have is the lower quality version of Thips 3, where it's just Thips 2 plus more.
And apparently this menu breaks my ability to hear.
This port was made by Shaba Games, who will eventually make Thug 2 Remix and Project 8 for 6th generation systems and PSP. The levels are just basically the same, except for the cruise ship and the extra shit. But some of the levels have different stuff than the 6th generation version. LA already had the earthquake and has an elevator with a big rail that's also an objective. Skater Island doesn't have the pirate ship, and Canada just has a completely different half due to system limitations. Even though they were in the last game, Neversoft invented the big drop feature for realism. Yes, cause grinding New York subway tracks is definitely realistic, but that mechanic kinda fucked me in the ass in this game, but I got used to it and actually hold X. But you know what's kinda fucked up, is that even though I 100%ed the career with a created skater, I didn't get the extra level called Downhill, so basically I have to do it all over again, but with Tony. Might as well do it with the rest of the skaters, I guess. Just kidding, I'm not that crazy. Downhill was originally Tony's idea about how these games wanted to be, and this is average as hell, but that's what you get from 1999, kinda. The only things I hate about this version is that this game gives me some weird glitches, mostly from laying down on the wall. And when I collect something, the game just flashbangs you, and I can imagine that when you're playing it at night. But other than that, this is a pretty good team make. And now, let's get to the last game for today. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 4, or Pro Skater 2003 in Japan, probably because the number 4 is bad luck in Chinese and Japanese. But according to the manual, there's Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX 2 and Kelly Slater's Pro Surfer, but they're also called 2003, so I don't know. I don't know what to say, so let's just get started. This intro might actually be the best one so far, cause it's fucking AC/DC, bro. Rage Against the Machine, you're classic, but I prefer this. Okay, let's get into the game. I didn't even bother to do a time lapse on my create skater, so let's just move on to college. And as you can see, there's no time limit. We get the spine transfer, do multi-button tricks on manuals, and pressing the R2 button for you to not die or lose your combo. The missions here could either be too easy or too difficult. Like, why? Like, you have this mission in the shipyard. You basically spine transfer 6 times, and it's over. Wow. But then you get the infamous Kona Misty Flip and Snake Run. After playing this game, I feel like this has the most slipperiest controls known to man, like the manual going down faster than it should be, and the multi-button tricks just goes wherever it wants to be. And in my opinion, this is probably the worst of the original 4. There's so much nothing here. And just like I said, the missions are in between difficulties. The levels here are college, San Francisco, Alcatraz, even though it is in San Francisco, Kona Skate Park, Shipyard, London, and the Zoo. But the unlocked ones are Carnival and Chicago from Matt Hoffman's Pro BMX 2, or what most people would call it, Chicago from Pro Skater 4. And the secret characters are Eddie from Iron Maiden, Django Fett, Mike Valley, which turns out to be a regular pro skater in the later games, and our private Carrera on here is Daisy, who is, no joke, based off a porn star named Jenna Jameson. Yeah, it says it on there. The levels are okay, but they don't have the same character as the previous 3 games. But I think the best part about this game that's not the intro are the pro goals. Tony has to do a bunch of tricks, Bam has to ride a cart down Alcatraz, and Rodney has to do tricks that he's invented, and so on and so on, all for a video of them skating more. We have another Activision O2 demo for Sean Murray's Pro Wakeboarder, which turns out to be Wakeboarding Unleashed starring Sean Murray, and apparently it doesn't want to load. Thanks, modded PS3. Apparently it's allergic to demos for games that didn't sell well. In conclusion, Thips 4 is okay, but it's the worst of the original 4, but it doesn't make it a bad game by any means. But anyways, let's get into the actual final game for today. Thips 4 on PS1. Damn, for the PS1 in 2002, they gotta do something good in there somehow. I mean, their last game was from 2004, so I can't expect much from it, so let's do it.
Work, you stupid bitch. Oh well.
I don't even need to be saying much. It's just Thips 2, but Thips 4, and Vicarious Visions made it. Yay. And I'ma just state the obvious. Most of the missions are high score and combo objectives, but I just want to say fuck it and use the cheat code instead so I can get one level that I have to 100% the game for, which is Little Big World. And the sewers too, but who cares about that? I'm so tired and pissed off from playing these games for the past few months that I just basically gave up on these games. And life. The sewers is actually a pretty good level where it has all this stuff, an Activision O2 bowl, and a prototype Thips 4 that looks fucking ugly by the way, and Little Big World. I didn't even bother 100% in this game for, so back to borrowing content. While it sounds like an amazing idea, the level looks pretty shit, and I'd rather play the Toy Story levels from Disney's Extreme Skate Adventure, which is also Thips 4, but for kids! And finally, we're done with this bitch. So I'ma just do what does best in every game. For controls, I would go for Thips 4, even if they're slippery sometimes. For levels, it would go to Thips 3. While the previous games have some very iconic levels, I feel like Thips 3's levels have more character in them. And lastly, for music, it's gotta be between the first or third game. This has gotta be a record for the longest time someone talking about the Pro Skater games and not mention the soundtrack in the first few minutes of the review. Even though I'm pretty sure this review is more of a me bitching on a 25-year-old gaming franchise video. It's licensed music, but it's awesome, and I feel like everybody has talked about how good the music is, so let's just end this.
So, is it worth it to play every single Pro Skater game? Absolutely not. It is a huge waste of time and effort. Although I do like the series, this is way too much. But in the end, it could have been worse. Oh god damn it.